All right, guys. Hello. Let me just quickly put myself up. There we go. All right. Hello. Let's go through today's trade recap. I took a loss, but it's okay because I took a very good lesson from this loss. Okay, I don't know what the fuck this is, but right. So coming into the day, we had 8:30 news and 10 a.m. news. Okay. Weekly or daily analysis. I do still kind of want to see bullish prices, but as you can see, we're failing to kind of push higher, and we've created our own consolidation phase here. So we broke this larger one, but then we've decided to create our own one over here. Okay. In terms of the candles, we closed below. Okay, we closed below. So what does that mean? We could look for bearish prices. Okay. Hourly, what do you see? 4 hour, we see price respecting lower prices, so we're moving lower, lower, lower. Okay. Um, Right. What happened here is we were kind of hovering at this 4 hour gap, this bullish gap, and I was interested in seeing if price would obviously react and move higher off of it. Okay, so 4 hour price shows lower prices. We begin to break through bullish gaps and continue lower. We move through a bullish gap on NQ, but are hovering near the same gap on ES. But pay attention to this area because it could be where we continue lower into that NQ final bullish gap, or begin to start moving higher from the 4 hour bearish order block. I'm also taking into account that it's a Friday and typically not a lot always happens, okay? And we get a New York AM move or a London move, and then we just consolidate for the rest of the day. But like I said, I'll pay attention to what price is doing and react accordingly. I'm not trying to predict, I'm trying to react to the market. 1 hour shows the same thing of price respect to our price. If we tap into this hourly gap, and hopefully we would see a decline. Obviously, this is all hindsight. Um, yeah. London, so pre-market, we see midnight opening price, we move lower. Okay, so where's midnight? Midnight, we move lower with no manipulation right prior to midnight. London session, we decline. Okay, we have a decline, and we disrespect this bullish gap. Okay, so we plummet through it. Okay. Now at the end of London session, we move higher into the bearish gap for a retracement. Okay. Given the overall market condition, I want to wait and see how price reacts within this level. If we respect it, it can be clear to see lower prices. If not, it could be the beginning of long-term bias, aka bullishness. Okay. So here I had like a lovely trade setup kind of idea. So we took out London highs, where we're in this bearish gap on the 1 hour, still with about half an hour to go, and I wanted to see obviously price react low. I would love to take some form of entry here as we have a sweep on the intermediate high on NQ and we have a bearish SMT on ES. However, it's not reasonable to. Why? Well, first of all, it goes against my trading plan. I'd be taking the trade before 9:30. And second of all, we have news coming out at 8:30 and it could just easily take you out. So no, good thing I didn't take the trade because it went higher. Okay. Um, so here we can see that we displaced through this bearish gap on both assets. We move higher. Okay. Highlighting a want for higher prices. On top of that, it creates a bullish candle. Okay. On top of that, it creates a bullish candle showing the 4 hour gap being respected. So this bullish gap being respected. Okay. Just this, we could see the beginning of higher prices. And this is just the layout of what the 4 hour candle looks like. So we tap into this 4 hour and we have a reaction higher. Okay. Around 10 a.m. In around 10 minutes, sorry, we should get this bullish gap forming on the 1 hour. Okay. We can see that bearish gap getting disrespected here, and obviously we're pushing higher, right? 8:30 didn't really do anything. In fact, it was 8:45, which was really weird. So we had the volatile spike. On NQ, we make perfectly equal highs, and ES does not go to that same level, forming a bearish SMT. The current market trend is clearly bullish. Okay. However, this could result in it flipping and us targeting those high time frame gaps as a form of internal liquidity because we just took out external. Okay. And there's still obviously 10 a.m. news to come. Now, New York market opens, and what does it do? It rallies higher. Okay, it moves higher. Nothing crazy happens, but we have reached this bullish hourly gap on NQ. Okay. Um, yeah, hourly bullish gap. What am I talking about? I'm not sure what I'm talking about here. Well, I like to see that loan be tapped into. Okay, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. This was one of the possible trade setups. We had an SMT, and then we could see a move higher into areas of external liquidity. But I didn't take that, right? So price continues on higher, and given that it does, we reach into this high time frame bearish gap. Now, very important. This area is very important. I've identified another trade. So I avoided this one and I identified another one on going long, which was incorrect to do. We had this displacement leg and then a 3-minute gap within the discounted range. Okay. And targeting the intermediate term high. That's all I needed for RR, right? It's possible that we tap into the very close 5-minute bullish gap and move higher, right? Okay, this one. In that case, I'll look to either see the internal high swept before a continuation trade higher, or look for a displacement higher with volume to take a long off of. I also feel like another thing could happen is because we're in a bearish hourly gap in terms of liquidity, we could begin to trade lower, taking areas of sell side liquidity for the rest of the day as we've hit a key level, right? I might actually take my trade off too, given the fact that 10 a.m. news is right around the corner. I'm very happy I remembered that. I'll take off my position in case of anything stupid happening. So what do we see? A 15-minute gap here and price runs lower, okay? And then this is where I saw an entry. I thought there'd be a retracement on the 15 and then it'd be respected and move off higher, okay? So price continues lower and then I generate my original entry, which was here, and I waited on it, okay? And then here we get entered. So I'm in the trade. It could be likely we target external liquidity sell stops due to the fact that we have respected this hourly bearish gap, right? If that's the case, then it's okay, and we'll use the rest of the day to forward test my strategy as well as back test, etc. What does price do? Price hits stop loss, okay? I've realized that the strategy is super quick when it comes to stop losses. Like, man, it will take you out in 3 minutes and your day is done. But yeah, that doesn't really matter anyway. I know it sounds weird, but I would love if it was a stop hunt and we actually moved higher, but we ended up not doing so, okay? Sadly so. My original comment about the internal liquidity of the bearish gap and us moving lower for the rest of the day was correct, okay? That short little thing that was in the back of my mind was correct. So sadly so, I took an entry in the wrong side of the market. Now this is completely fine. I remember commenting on the probability of this occurring, the 4-hour bearish gap getting respected, and then we consequently move lower. Lessons from today are to wait for further information when we hit such a key level that could produce a reversal. In other words, look to see if the 15-minute or the 5-minute is disrespecting bullish confluences such as value gaps and is showing willingness to move lower. So in this case, when we hit it, there was a 15-minute gap and we completely displaced through it. Okay, that could have been the cue. Obviously I didn't look. Okay. New York AM opens and we see a manipulation higher. My conditional bias should have been that we either see the bullish gap get manipulated into and push off higher, or vice versa, which is what happened today, right? We pushed, manipulated higher into internal liquidity, and then we started seeking external on the lows. Another thing is that I relied solely on a bullish 15-minute SMT to provide a move higher rather than any higher time frame key level, such as a Favelli gap. Another thing is that we are still trading within the consolidation on the daily. We broke the long-term low of the range, but have since created a smaller range in which we are reaching equilibrium every time, which is what I stated in the beginning. It's nice to see that not all Fridays result in consolidation. We actually can get moves. Today would have been a great day to trade had I adapted better. I saw this happening, but did not allow myself to adapt and react to the shift in the market. Okay, so I'm upset, but not like an angry upset, like a tilted upset. I'm kind of like glad because I understand exactly where I went wrong, and this is like a really good lesson. Okay, so that's that. Hope you guys learned something from today's trade recap. It's very short, but yeah, that's that. I'll see you lot tomorrow for a back testing session. I'll definitely record it. All right, take care. Bye bye.